Okay, we're going to go ahead and start in Module 9, Section 2, or Lesson 2. We're going to be adding and subtracting rational expressions. So we need to learn lowest common denominators, lowest common multiples. Really, they mean the exact same thing. So when you hear these two different terms here, just note that we're looking for the same thing. But normally we're looking for the lowest common denominator whenever we are trying to combine rational expressions when we're adding or subtracting. When we're multiplying or dividing, we don't need to do those common denominators because we just need to factor things because we're trying to cancel out as much as we possibly can. In this case, we're kind of going the opposite way, and we're trying to make the denominator the same for all the fractions or rational expressions, and combine them together if we can. So notice that we've done this stuff like this before. So we look at 5 and 24, 7 and 6. We're trying to figure out what is my lowest common denominator. Well, notice that if I were to break down 24 down to its prime numbers, I get 2, 2, 2, and 3. So I have 3 2s and a 3. If I break down 6, I get just a 2 and a 3. So that means both of them need a 3. That's where the 3 is. Both of them need 1 2 at least. And then this one needs another 2 2s. So therefore, my lowest common denominator would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, which happens to be 24. If you think about it, 6 goes into 24, which is correct. 24 obviously goes into 24 as well. So therefore, that would be my lowest common denominator. Now, both of them will go into 48 as well. 48 divided by 2 is 24. So 2 times 24 is 48. And 8 times 6 is 48. So that's a common denominator, but not the least common denominator. Okay, so that's what we have when we're looking at those. So what does that mean? So if I break this down for b, if I break it down to its prime numbers, I get 2 times 2b, then break down the 2b into 2 times b. So I have a 2, and a b. Notice for the 10, I have a 2 and a 5. So both of them need 1, 2. So this would be the 2 that's combined between the two of them. This one needs a 5. This one doesn't, but still needs a 5. This one needs a 2 and a b. This one doesn't need another 2 and a b. So I still have to include them because one of them needs them. So therefore, if I were to multiply all these together, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. So my least common denominator in this case would be 20b. Okay, let's do some homework problems. So now, what is my common denominator? Well, you'll notice that this one here, so my LCD, they both need a p, one there, one there. This one doesn't need anything else, but this one needs an m squared, so it would be pm squared. Of course, we're just going to write it the way the book wrote it, which was m squared p, both ways I would consider correct on a test. So both of them need an m squared p. So is anything missing from the LCD on this term, on the first term? So notice that this one has an m squared. This is an m squared. This has a p. This has a p. Therefore, nothing's missing. So that would just stay the same. So just stay 2 over mp squared. But you'll notice on the second one, I have to multiply top and bottom by m squared. And that way then I get a plus 5m squared over p. I'm going to write the m first, m squared p. Okay, so notice now I have a common denominator. And if I had written pm squared, they still would be a common denominator, just in a different order, but they still would be the same common denominator. And now I can combine the numerators into 2 plus 5m squared, and all divided by the common denominator, which is m squared p. So that's what I get. Okay, so that's how we do those types of problems. I have a problem that's very similar. Let's take a look at this one, and then we'll finish up the rest on other videos, but let's go ahead and do this one. So what's my lowest common denominator? Well, notice that my 15 needs a 3. The 35 does not. My 15 needs a 5, and my 35 also needs a 5. That's it for the 15. My 35 also needs a 7. So right now, in terms of the numbers so far, 15 times 7 in this particular case, or 35 times 3, which is 105. So they both go into 105. That's the lowest common denominator. Okay, now notice here, this one needs 3 x's. This one only needs 2, so that means we have to include 3 x's. This one needs 2 y's. This one needs 4 y's, so we have to include 4 y's. This one does not have a z, this one does, so therefore it needs a z. So there would be my lowest common denominator, meaning it covers the 3 x's, the 4 y's, the 1 z, and both the 15 and the 35 in the 105. That's my lowest common denominator. Now what's missing? So how many times does 15 go into 105? That's what we have to kind of figure out is what is the number that's missing? Well, that would be 7. So that means that so far we have to multiply this number by 7, the 4b. And then notice this is not missing any x's. This is missing 2 y's, so we're going to have to multiply the 4b by 2 y's, and it's missing a z. So I'm going to multiply this by the 4b all over now 105x cubed y to the 4th z. Okay, because if I multiply this times this, I'm going to get this right here. And then I'm going to subtract, and now I have my 3b, and we have to figure out what's missing from here. What's missing from there is a 3. So notice here, 5 times 7 is 35, so it's missing a 3 here. This is missing 1x. It's not missing any y's, and it's not missing any z's. All over 105x cubed, y to the 4th, and z. Remember, we're really multiplying 3x over 3x. So when I multiply this by 3x, I get this down here. And on the other side, I'm multiplying the top by 7y squared z, and I'm also multiplying the bottom by 7y squared z. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, probably could have stopped it for a minute, but it would take me longer to stop it than to sneeze. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply the top parts. So 7 times 4 is 28. I have a by squared z minus, because that minus sign, 3b times 3x is 9bx, all over the common denominator 105x cubed, y to the 4th, and z. And then there's nothing I can cancel. Remember that the only way I can cancel is if all 3 terms have something that's in common. So notice here's an x and here's an x, but no x here. Here's a y, no y here. Here's a b, here's a b. However, notice down here, no b. These aren't, whenever we're trying to do it, we can only combine like terms when we're adding or subtracting. These are not like terms, so nothing I can do to combine those together. That's my answer. Done with this video. We'll do the next problems in the next video.